everybody, welcome back to my channel. As you can see today, we're going to do a third trimester Q&A. I cannot believe we are already at the third trimester. I feel like between when I found out about 5 weeks and then to like find out the gender at 20 weeks, it went so slowly because all you want to know is a gender. And then since finding out, it's like literally flown by. I feel like it's gone so quickly. I am currently 32 weeks and 6 days. So I'm about to hit 33 weeks. Actually, I'll show you my bump. It's a mixed match close, but this is what bump is looking like at 33 weeks. Well, about to be 33 weeks. That is what bump is looking like. And yeah, I just can't believe we're nearly at the end. Baby girl is nearly here. I am all ready. I am all prepared. But yeah, let's go into this. I went over onto my Instagram, which if you are not following, it's the same handle of my YouTube. It's Elswithselflove. I went over there and asked you guys what you wanted to know about the third trimester. So let's get into it. So first question is, what have my symptoms been like in the third trimester? Honestly, just crazy hunger. Like my hunger went a little bit in the second trimester and then came back again in the third. I am eating at the moment 4 meals a day. She is just always hungry. So that's really the biggest thing, is I feel like I'm eating so much. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a massive foodie, so I'm absolutely loving it. I have to eat so much food. I've had a bit of insomnia, not much, but I did go through like a period of probably like 2 weeks where I would just be up from like 2 a.m. to like 5 a.m. Which is always great when you've got to get up at 6 a.m. then with your toddler or child. Oh, he's not really a toddler anymore, he's a child. Other than crazy hunger and insomnia, I don't think I've really had any symptoms. I am out of breath a lot. Like I can't do a lot without getting out of breath. For example, me and my boyfriend went away for like a little baby moon to Manchester for a night, and we did 4 pit stops because I just couldn't keep walking and shopping. Like we had to keep stopping for like, you know, a drink and a cake. So yeah, like I can't really do much, like I'm so out of breath. But there you go, like it's just how it is. I remember being crazy out of breath last time too. So next, you guys asked how this pregnancy has been different to my previous pregnancy. Actually quite a lot. I had such an easier ride with my first pregnancy. I had barely any symptoms, and I bet I had barely any like health complications or worries or anything like that. Whereas this time around, I've had a few like health things that I've had to go to the doctors for, and I had crazy morning sickness, which I didn't have the first time. I've had way more symptoms, and the biggest one really being that I've had a lot of scans. So the first time I had your general scan, which is like your 12-week, 16-week and your 20-week. This time around, apparently I make small babies, I've been told by the doctor, so I've had to have a scan every 2 weeks to check on her growth. I've also like had to go to like hospital a few times with like crazy thing going on in my body. So yeah, baby girl is definitely keeping me on my toes. She's definitely gonna be like, I think, a drama queen like me, like the center of attention probably like me, because yeah, she wants it. So baby girl is currently measuring small, so I'm having to have lots of scans to make sure that her growth is okay and that she's all right. So inductions have been talked about, but I'll talk about that later because you guys have asked me about my birth plan. So yeah, I feel like it's been a roller coaster. It's been a bit harder. You know, I've definitely had quite a few breakdowns. My poor boyfriend has had to deal with a lot. But I love it. Like, it's such a blessing. I adore being pregnant. I would do it 100 times over. I would even be a surrogate. Like, I love being pregnant. And I love that I've had 2 very different experiences, and I'm also extremely grateful that it hasn't been worse, because obviously like pregnancy could be a lot harder and worse than this. I've had quite a lot of questions asking about how I'm adapting to my pregnancy body, like how do I feel about my body, am I struggling with the changes? And the answer is no. I feel like in pregnancy, you really can't control what your body does. You cannot control what it looks like, and so many things that happen to your body are so normal that like every single woman goes through, that I really haven't. I've just learned to enjoy it, I've learned to love it, I've learned to embrace it. You know, I love that, like, you know, things have got bigger and I've got more cellulite and more stretch marks, and I just think it's a blessing and a reminder that like my body is doing something so beautiful, and there are so many women out there that can't do what my body's doing, or you know, really struggle with it, or you know, something like that, that I really haven't struggled with body, like my body image during this pregnancy. I definitely know that I will struggle afterwards. I haven't put on, just to get real with you guys, I haven't put on as much weight in this pregnancy as I did in my last pregnancy, so I don't think the struggle will be as bad. Like I really, you know, was a lot bigger after my last pregnancy, and I did lose a lot of weight. So we're talking about in a different video with my whole body positivity journey. But I don't think this time. I think the biggest thing worrying me this time is like I will have a lot more stretch marks this time. Um, but I do, that is definitely something, if I'm being honest with you guys, that I do know that I will worry about, is how I'm going to look afterwards. It's completely normal. It's going to be a whole new roller coaster and a whole new journey of learning to love my body, of being nice to myself. I'm not going to do crazy diets. I'm not going to do crazy workouts. I'm planning on making sure I get outside every day to do a nice big long walk, but that's mainly because that's really good for your mental health, and walking is so good for your body. And I'm just going to eat as I normally do, like pre-pregnancy. Obviously I'm not going to keep eating the way I am now, but during pregnancy I felt really good about my body. I felt really good about my changes. I love my bump. I love how my boobs and my thighs and my ass looks, and I'm really like embracing my stretch marks. So I'm not necessarily struggling now, but I think I definitely will struggle postpartum. Then I had quite a lot of questions about my birth plan, which I actually haven't talked about over my Instagram yet, but a lot of you were saying would I ever do a home birth? Like, what's my plan? What am I gonna do? So first of all, I would never have a home birth. I do not feel comfortable like that. I know it works for so many women and it's meant to be really good for you, but I would not feel comfortable I actually like being in the hospital environment, and I really found it. I had such a good experience with my first labour. I had a really lovely like experience and time. I know my boyfriend doesn't agree with that. He's like, I think you've forgotten it. But overall, I had a really smooth, good, lovely labour. And I loved being in that hospital environment. Personally, for me, I found it more calming and more reassuring because I was at a hospital rather than, you know, being at home. I know they've done it millions of times and they've got all the things that they need and you can get an ambulance and all that, but I feel like I would feel uncomfortable doing it in my home for the reasons that I'm not in hospital, and also I honestly feel like I couldn't then be in my house. Like some people like give birth in like their bedroom, and I feel like I then would have to move up my house. Like I couldn't then be in my bedroom. It would honestly freak me out. My birth plan is, so whether I do become induced early due to baby being small, or whether I am allowed to go full term, my plan is to do what I did last time, be on a bed on my back with gas and air. Gas and air was a godsend. I loved it. I'm not an epidural girl. I do not want an epidural. Again, this is my personal preference. If that worked for you and if you want that, I love that for you. For me, that just was never an option. It was never going to be an option. I wanted gas and air. I had a great time with gas and air. So I'd love to do that again. I'd love to kind of have the same experience where it's me and my mum and my boyfriend on a bed with gas and air. Like, it was great. I loved it. I did have my mother-in-law with me last time, but she won't be here this time. I did the first time round want a water birth, but I wasn't allowed to have a water birth because I had to go on a drip to speed up my labour, because he had done a bowel movement inside me and he was choking on it, so I had to go on a drip, so I wasn't allowed in the water to get in the pool and have a water birth. This time I'm not as desperate. Like, it might be nice, but I'm not like desperate, I'm not really thinking about it, and also if I do become induced, I'm not sure water birth is an option for me. Also, I'm not like big into hypnobirthing. It just doesn't interest me. I haven't bothered with it, but again, if you do that, it's great. Like, I've heard such great experiences. Maybe if I ever want to do it a third time, maybe hypnobirthing would be my thing, but this time I loved it, and I would love to have, I loved what I did last time, and I'd love to have that really good positive happy experience again. I'm hoping what they say is true, that your second pregnancy is, your labour is quicker and easier. So with Archie, I was 12 hours, so hopefully this time it won't be 12 hours. And let's quickly talk induction. So induction does scare me a little bit in the fact that I don't really know. I've never had one. I know, like, obviously they break your water and they put you into labour, and I know obviously like then it can be crazy from all like from all the experiences that I've read online and the videos that I've watched and everything I heard. It sounds really good and it sounds like it's really quick. But the thought of having your water broken to me just sounds a bit scary and a bit intense and a bit overwhelming. I'm like, what do you mean when you say you're going to break my waters? Like, what does that mean? Like, obviously last time I woke up, I was asleep. It was 5:30 in the morning. My boyfriend was like, "You've wet the bed," and I hadn't. My waters had broken. So I don't know. I'm either going to have a natural labour or I'm going to have an induced labour, but I plan on just having it at hospital with my boyfriend and fingers crossed my mum, and just having gas and air. And yeah, I'm hoping for another really positive experience. I am giving birth in a new hospital, which is slightly daunting. Like, I gave birth to my son in the same hospital that I was giving birth to in, which I would think is a really cool fact. So I am a bit like apprehensive about the fact that it's a new environment, new hospital, but I really like the hospital that we've got. So yeah, I'm feeling real positive about birth and my birth plan. Next question is, am I planning to bottle feed or breastfeed? And I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, that I am planning on breastfeeding. I am doing lots of research on it as much as I can to feel comfortable and knowledgeable about it. And I am also doing a course next month in August. Again, I do not judge whether you do bottle or whether you do breast. Honestly, your kids will end up eating McDonald's, your kids will end up not liking some vegetables, your kids will end up getting colds. Like, honestly, fed is best. I bottle fed Archie. I wanted to breastfeed Archie, but he was not having it. He wouldn't latch. I tried for a couple of weeks to get him to latch and he would not do it, and then I gave up and I just carried on bottle feeding, and that worked really well for us. And like I said, he still ends up eating McDonald's, he still ends up not eating all his veg, so there you go. And whatever works for you. I would love to breastfeed because I would love the experience. I grew up always imagining like me sitting there breastfeeding my baby, and I see all these other women breastfeeding their babies, and it's something that I really would love. I might do it and might hate it and might stop it, and I might be like, no, this is not for me, I'll go to bottle feed, and I know I can do that. But I would love the opportunity to breastfeed. I'd love the experience of breastfeeding. I'd love to give it a go. It's just something that I've always wanted to do. In my head, in like the ideal world, I'd love to do it for 6 months. I'd love to be able to breastfeed my baby for 6 months and then wean her and take her off, put her on cow's milk and wean her, and like do it that way. That really would be a dream come true if I could breastfeed her for 6 months and then wean her. But honestly, even if I just did it for a week or two and then I didn't like it or it wasn't working for us, I would be so grateful and so over the moon, because like I said, I really wanted to do it the first time and my son was not having any of it. We are told it's the most natural thing in the world and it's the most easiest thing in the world, and I feel like that really doesn't help, because so many women blame themselves and really are horrible to themselves because they couldn't breastfeed. Sometimes you can't breastfeed, sometimes your baby doesn't want it really does depend. And there are so many complications, with milk and nipples and tongue tie and positions, and it's a lot. So I really feel like we shouldn't be told it's the most natural thing, because it's not the most natural thing for everybody. Just like pregnancy is not the most natural thing for everyone, breastfeeding is not the most natural thing for everyone. But I'm definitely planning on breastfeeding if I can, and if I can, I'd love to do it for 6 months. Next, you guys said, is it true that the third trimester is the hardest? Now, I can only speak on my experiences, because obviously it's not going to be the same for every woman. Some women find the first, some women find the second, some women find the third trimester the hardest. In my first pregnancy, I definitely found the third trimester to be the hardest. This pregnancy, I found the first trimester to be the hardest because in the first, I was so nauseous. I was being sick all the time. The first 6 weeks, like, it was a lot harder for me the first trimester. This one I'm having less symptoms and I've got my energy back. I just feel a lot better. So I don't think it's necessarily true. I think it might be an old wives' tale that the further you get, the harder it gets. I will say now walking is a lot harder. Like going out is a lot harder. Like now it's the summer holidays. I've got a lot to do to entertain my child, so this is going to be hard. Another question I got quite a lot was, do you think you will be late or early? And if you'd asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have solidly told you, without a doubt, I will be early. I carried my son late, so Archie was born 4 days over past my due date. And like, it's so weird at the beginning for the first, I would say 18 weeks, I was like dead, like, right, I'm gonna be late, I'm gonna be late. And then with all the growth stuff that came on and they were like 90% sure I'm gonna be in June, so I was like, brilliant, right, wrap your head around the fact that you're giving birth in August, you're gonna give birth early, like, let's prepare. Like, that's why I'm all prepared now. The house is ready, the hospital bag is ready, I've bought her everything she needs, because like they were like 90% sure you're gonna give birth early. And I felt really sure that I'm going to give birth early. And now that they're saying her growth is doing better, I won't know until the middle of August whether I'm going to give birth the middle of August or whether I'm going to, like, they're going to let me go naturally. I feel like if I go naturally, I probably would go over. Obviously if I'm reduced, I'm going to be a couple of weeks early. I actually don't mind being early. The reason why, I tell you why I actually like don't mind giving birth in August and being early is because my son's birthday is September 1st and I'm due September 12th. And actually would love to like be induced late August, middle August, because then my children's birthdays are 100% going to be different months. It's guaranteed they're not going to be all on the same day. And I've actually got a child in August and a child in September. Whereas if I go naturally, I feel like there's a slight chance they could be born the same day. And I have 2 birthdays in September. And honestly, I don't mind having 2 birthdays in September, but I really would be upset, I think, if my kids are born on the same day, if my kids shared a birthday. I really wouldn't like that. I don't want that for them. I don't want that for me. So I'd love to be early. So there you go. That is everything that you guys asked. That was the most common questions. If you have any more questions about my pregnancy in general, third trimester, anything you want to ask, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I will definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys again in a couple of weeks. Bye!